Have you ever scrolled through Instagram or TikTok and noticed someone you know, maybe even a close friend, rarely, if ever, posts? No selfies, no status updates, no stories. It's like they exist online, but almost disappear from it. In a world where sharing your life seems almost mandatory, these people stand out. But why? What drives someone to stay silent in the digital age? Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of people who don't post on social media. Social media has become a central part of modern life. For many, it's a way to connect, to share moments, or even to validate their existence. Likes, comments, shares, they serve as tiny affirmations that say, "You matter. You're seen." But for some, the whole system feels unnecessary, even draining. They scroll, they observe, they engage silently, or sometimes they don't engage at all. These are the quiet participants of the online world, and their reasons are as complex as human behavior itself. One of the primary reasons someone might avoid posting is personality. Introverts, for instance, often prefer observing rather than performing. They don't feel the same need for external validation that extroverts might crave. For them, social media is more of a window than a stage, a place to peek into others' lives without putting themselves under the spotlight. Then there are people who are highly self-conscious or perfectionists. They fear judgment, ridicule, or simply posting something wrong or imperfect. For them, posting is stressful, not fun. The pressure to curate the perfect image can outweigh the satisfaction of sharing, and the silence becomes a shield against criticism. Another crucial factor is the desire for privacy. In an era where personal data can be harvested, sold, or leaked, some people choose silence as a form of self-protection. They understand the risks of oversharing, identity theft, cyberbullying, or simply being misunderstood. For them, keeping a low digital footprint is not about being antisocial, it's about maintaining control over their personal narrative. Some people also see posting as a form of obligation or social pressure. When every scroll reminds you that everyone else is posting, it can feel like you're falling behind, or worse, being judged for your absence. Choosing not to post becomes an act of rebellion, a way to reclaim autonomy in a world that constantly demands performance. Silence on social media can also stem from deeper emotional or psychological reasons. People with anxiety, depression, or social insecurities might find posting overwhelming. They might fear negative feedback or the perceived judgment of their peers. For them, silence isn't just preference, it's a coping mechanism. Interestingly, research has shown that people who post less often tend to report higher levels of life satisfaction. They are less likely to compare themselves to others constantly. Instead of measuring life in likes and shares, they focus on experiences themselves, free from the pressure of curation or online validation. Not posting doesn't mean not participating. Many non-posters are avid consumers of social media. They scroll through feeds, watch stories, and even engage with content quietly. Psychologists call this passive engagement. It allows them to stay connected without exposing themselves. In fact, this observational behavior can provide a richer perspective, seeing more, judging less, and understanding human behavior without the need to perform. Cultural norms also play a role. In some cultures, self-expression through social media is expected, almost like a rite of passage. In others, modesty, humility, and privacy are valued over visibility. Similarly, generational differences matter. While Gen Z might grow up expecting constant digital sharing, older generations might see social media as optional or even intrusive. Chapter 6. The social impact of not posting. Being silent online doesn't make someone invisible in real life. In fact, it can have surprising social benefits. People who don't post may be perceived as mysterious or intriguing, which can enhance their social allure. They're often seen as thoughtful, reflective, and independent, qualities that stand out in a world obsessed with instant gratification. However, there are downsides. In some social circles, not posting can be misinterpreted as disinterest, aloofness, or even rejection. It can lead to misunderstandings or assumptions that someone is socially active, when in reality, they're simply selective about how they engage online. So, how do you approach people who don't post? The key is empathy. Understand that their silence isn't necessarily a rejection of friendship or connection. It's often a deliberate choice reflecting their values, boundaries, or emotional needs. Asking gentle questions about how they engage with social media, or simply respecting their quiet presence, can foster meaningful relationships. Without forcing digital exposure, non-posters teach us an important lesson: the value of privacy, introspection, and authentic living. In a world addicted to likes, shares, and notifications, they remind us that you don't need to broadcast your life to live it fully. Sometimes, the richest experiences are the ones you don't post. Conclusion: the silent revolution. People who don't post on social media are not necessarily rejecting connection, they are redefining it. They are quietly resisting a culture of performative validation, prioritizing real-life experiences, and safeguarding their mental health. Their silence is not emptiness, it's a statement, a choice, and a reflection of a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. So next time you scroll past someone who rarely posts, remember, they might be living a life more fully than the rest of us realize. And maybe, just maybe, there's something inspiring in their quiet rebellion against the noise of the digital world. Have you ever scrolled through your social media feed and noticed someone who never posts? No selfies, no status updates, no stories. In a world where sharing every moment has become the norm, these silent observers stand out. But why do some people choose to remain silent in the digital age? Are they simply introverted, or is there something deeper at play? Today, we're diving into the psychology of people who don't post on social media. Social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok have revolutionized the way we communicate. With billions of active users worldwide, it's easy to assume that everyone is sharing their lives online. However, a significant portion of users prefer to observe rather than participate. These individuals scroll through their feeds, watch stories, and consume content without ever posting themselves. This behavior isn't new, it's a modern manifestation of a long-standing human trait, the desire for privacy. Psychologists have identified several personality traits common among those who refrain from posting on social media. One prominent characteristic is introversion. Introverts tend to feel drained by social interactions and often prefer solitude or small, intimate gatherings. They may find the performative nature of social media exhausting and unnecessary. Another trait is self-reliance. Individuals who don't post often have a strong sense of independence and don't seek validation from others. They derive self-worth from internal sources rather than external approval. One significant deterrent for many is the fear of judgment. Posting on social media opens individuals up to public scrutiny. Comments, likes, and shares can be validating, but they can also be critical. The fear of receiving negative feedback or being misunderstood can discourage people from sharing their lives online. This fear is particularly pronounced among those who value their privacy and are sensitive to how they are perceived. The spiral of silence theory, proposed by Elizabeth Noel Newman in the 1970s, suggests that individuals are less likely to express their opinions if they believe they are in the minority. In the context of social media, if someone perceives their views as unpopular or controversial, they may choose to remain silent to avoid conflict or ostracism. This self-censorship can lead to a lack of diverse perspectives online. Social media algorithms prioritize content that generates engagement, often promoting posts that are sensational or controversial. This can create an environment where only certain viewpoints are amplified and others are marginalized. For those who prefer to remain neutral or quiet, this can be a reason to disengage. Emotional and psychological factors also play a role in why some people avoid posting. Individuals with anxiety, depression, or social insecurities may find posting overwhelming. They might fear negative feedback or judgment from peers. For them, silence isn't just a preference, it's a coping mechanism that allows them to navigate a stressful digital landscape safely. Interestingly, research has shown that people who post less often report higher levels of life satisfaction. They are less likely to compare themselves constantly with others and focus more on personal experiences themselves rather than curating content for likes or comments. Not posting does not mean disengagement. Many non-posters are avid consumers of social media. They scroll through feeds, watch stories, and sometimes engage quietly through likes or private messages. Psychologists call this passive engagement. It allows individuals to stay connected without exposing themselves. In fact, this observational behavior can provide a richer perspective on social dynamics. They see more, judge less, and understand human behavior without performing for an audience. Cultural norms and generational differences also influence social media activity. In some cultures, self-expression through social media is expected, almost like a rite of passage. In others, modesty, humility, and privacy are more highly valued. Similarly, younger generations may feel pressure to post constantly, whereas older generations often see social media as optional or even intrusive. Being silent online does not make someone invisible in real life. In fact, it can have surprising social benefits. People who do not post may be perceived as mysterious, reflective, and independent. Their quiet nature can make them more intriguing to others, highlighting qualities that stand out in a world obsessed with instant gratification. However, there are potential downsides. In some social circles, silence can be misinterpreted as disinterest or aloofness, which may lead to misunderstandings. It's important to understand that non-posters may engage in meaningful ways offline, or in private messages rather than broadcasting their lives publicly. Understanding non-posters requires empathy. Their silence is not necessarily a rejection of friendship or connection. It is often a deliberate choice reflecting their values, boundaries, or emotional needs. People who do not post teach us an important lesson: the value of privacy, introspection, and authentic living. In a world addicted to likes, shares, and notifications, they remind us that you do not need to broadcast your life to live it fully. Sometimes, the richest experiences are the ones you do not post. Imagine Sarah, a 28-year-old graphic designer who has every social media account but posts almost nothing. She values her private life over digital applause. Her friends often ask, "Why don't you post your vacation photos?" Sarah laughs and says, "I'm living them, not performing them." Many people like Sarah experience life differently. Research shows that non-posters focus on deep experiences rather than shallow validation. They may be travelers who remember sights and sounds instead of capturing them for likes, or parents who cherish quiet moments without broadcasting them. Even famous personalities avoid posting personal content online because their inner world is private, and sharing every detail feels invasive. Value is not measured in likes, it is measured in living fully. Studies have shown that people who post less frequently often report higher life satisfaction and lower anxiety. Posting frequently triggers a feedback loop: post, get likes, feel good, post again. For non-posters, this loop does not exist. Their self-worth is internal rather than dependent on external validation. A 2021 study in Computers in Human Behavior found that individuals who primarily observe social media without posting, so-called lurkers, have better emotional regulation. They enjoy content without feeling the pressure to compete, curate, or impress. Quiet observers may actually be the most mentally resilient in the social media ecosystem. They see everything, judge less, and engage thoughtfully. People often misinterpret silence as indifference. A friend who never posts may be wrongly assumed to be uninterested in relationships, but non-posters may engage subtly, liking or commenting occasionally, messaging privately instead of posting publicly, remembering milestones offline. Their engagement is more intentional and meaningful, not performative. Another factor is digital fatigue. Social media is addictive by design. Notifications, streaks, trending posts, our brains crave dopamine hits. Non-posters often recognize this trap early and decide, "I will not let my life revolve around the scroll." Life is a movie, not a highlight reel. Non-posters live the plot, not just the trailers. Many non-posters are hyper-aware of social dynamics. By observing quietly, they understand trends without succumbing, learn social cues without seeking approval, and build real empathy. Their silence is not emptiness, it is attention, patience, and reflection. So, what can we learn from non-posters? Privacy is valuable, not everything needs to be shared to matter. Experiences over validation, focus on living fully rather than documenting constantly. Observation is powerful, watching quietly can teach more than performing loudly. Self-worth is not likes, true confidence comes from within, not digital applause. Silence is a choice, not a failure. It is a form of agency. Some people post for fun, some for work, and some intentionally post little or nothing. All approaches are valid. The key is intentionality. Decide why you post, or why you don't, and do not let social pressure dictate your self-worth. Non-posters are quietly rewriting the rules of social media. They show that life can be rich without constant documentation, that connection can be private and meaningful, and that presence matters more than performance. Next time you see someone scroll silently, consider this: they might be living their best life off-screen while the rest of us chase likes and comments. There is something beautiful in their quiet resistance to the digital noise.